Hey, I'm Hunt, and this is Hunt on LSU, your channel for LSU Fighting Tiger football talk. Enjoy the video. We want you to leave a comment below, hit that like button, and subscribe right below the video. Enjoy. Some of y'all probably know that Thibodaux is not very close to Nebraska because I think some of you drove from Thibodaux to Nebraska last week because we were all locked in on the College World Series. But down in Thibodaux during the College World Series, the Manning Casting Academy was going on, goes on every summer. It's become one of the biggest events of the football summer. Shea Dixon was down there covering things for the Bengal Tiger, part of the On3 network. He joins us now on the Jim's Firearms Hotline. Shea, how hot was Homa, Thibodaux?
Not as hot as Baton Rouge has been this past week.
Okay. It was hot in Omaha except for Saturday.
I would say somewhere in between Omaha and Baton Rouge.
Okay, good. Well, I know a lot was going on down there, but from our perspective, Jayden Daniels and Garrett Nussmeier were both down there. I know that you're not with them all the time, but what do you sense is the relationship between those two guys?
I mean, I think they get along. I think they get along probably as well as two guys who are battling for one job can get along, right? I think they've a nice mutual respect for each other. I think that they both push each other pretty hard. I mean, look, Joe Sloan got here, and who was here? Miles Brennan was still around. Walker Howard was on the team. Now you've got Ricky Collins coming in. The one constant has been those two, Jayden and Garrett. So I think that over time they've certainly built a nice, strong foundation to their relationship. And they hung out down at Manning Academy for a while, warmed up together, kind of spent a lot of the time together that night when they did all the throwing sessions, which is really just at one point Drake May won an event by throwing a football for 50 yards through the hoop of a net. So I guess the athleticism and the May UNC bloodlines translates from basketball to football. Then they did the deep throwing contest of really just airing out who's got the best looking deep ball. And then they would run drive golf carts sort of all over the field, and you hit kind of these short, intermediate, and then deep routes. And if you hit the golf cart, you get the points, and you moved on. So it was a fun event, but it also, you got to see, 20, 25 of the better quarterbacks that are set to play college football this year.
Jayden Daniels, a lot's going to be made of him over the next couple of months and just how far he can push LSU in his last year. And we'll talk about him until they kick it off against Florida State. But how much improvement is realistic in terms of what Jayden Daniels can become as far as a throwing quarterback?
I mean, I think anything you sort of put out there could be a realistic. Think about how far he came from where he was at Arizona State to where he is now. I mean, just that sample size alone, 3 years of starting at ASU. Now you look at the 1 year at LSU, he had upped pretty much everything. I mean, completion percentage, passing yards is right there, rushing yards is even more. Turn the ball over very, very seldomly. Yes, surrounded by more talent, but you got to remember he was part of that Arizona State team and program for 3 years. He comes here a year ago. He doesn't know the offense. He doesn't know the coordinator. He doesn't know his quarterback's coach. He's never played for the head coach. He doesn't know any of the receivers. He's never played behind the O-line. So for him to do what he did and still make those leaps last year tells me that he can make them again this year. And when I talked to him down there in Homa at the Manning camp or in Thibodaux, I should say more specifically, when we were over at Nichols, he talked about that and said, look, I said, a lot of people are saying, and I think it's a pretty safe argument to make, that you're the best returning starter in the SEC this year. And when you hear that, what do you think? And Jayden said, hey, that means I'm back on track to where I should have been. Because you think about it, Hunt, he was the number one dual threat quarterback in the country coming out of high school, had offers from everywhere. LSU was recruiting him. Went to Arizona State because he wanted to play early, played 3 straight years, graduated, and then took a shot on coming to LSU for a year because he thought, hey, that could really up my draft stock. Now he comes back for another year, and he's heralded as maybe the best returning quarterback in the SEC. He is being talked up if LSU makes a run that he could be a Heisman contender. He is putting himself in a spot to be drafted. So I think in Jayden's mind, this is where he was. Things might have gotten off track at ASU, but after the year they had at LSU in year one, you've got to feel good that he's going to continue to make strides in year two.
What are his plans this summer? Do you know? Some guys go out to California and work with George Whitfield or something. Sometimes just stay at LSU. I mean, what do you think? What do you know? What Jayden Daniels' plans are this summer before they report and get things rolling here in August?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that he is hanging out. He's done California a good bit, but you've got workouts with the team, so they're doing strength and conditioning stuff, all that. I would imagine a large amount of his time then is just spent in Baton Rouge, and then we're not far off from fall camp. I mean, it's a month away.
Yeah.
So my guess is this final stretch is a lot of time spent around the team and throwing with the receivers on his own and all that stuff.
Do you think Garrett Nussmeier believes he can be the starting quarterback against Florida State?
Oh, you're talking about a confident gunslinger. I wouldn't be surprised if he believed he was the starting quarterback versus Florida State in the opener. I think that Garrett saw at the end of last year that whether it was injury, whether it was just beating a team and getting to play a lot in the Purdue games, they trusted him, an injury being that Georgia game. Had they seen what they knew now, would Jayden have played that whole Arkansas game, Hunt, where he was banged up and could barrely walk around and they were like squeaking by at Fayetteville? Or are you like, oh, we trust him, we'll put him in there? So I think he already thinks he's going to play more. Then he also knows, hey, I can stay here, which he wants to be at LSU. That's bottom line, and wants to compete to start. But even if it isn't starting this year, and even if it's playing as a backup, he'd still have 2 more years of eligibility remaining. Now, does he take it all? I don't know. But that's a lot of time to stay and potentially be a starter at LSU in the SEC. And when you think about that, had he not decided, and let's more so say maybe had his dad and Coach O and the staff not decided it was in his best interest not to play in that Texas Bowl when they were a 500 team and John Trey Kirkland played, he wouldn't be a redshirt freshman right now. He would only have a couple of years left. So maybe when we look back down the line, if he continues to say, I want to be here, I want to play, I want to up my stock, we'll look back at that Texas Bowl and say, glad to have John Trey there. Didn't need nothing. Don't, because quarterback in year 5 or 6 for 13 games.
Hey, thanks for watching Hunt on LSU. Before you get out of here, do us a couple of favors. Hit that like button, leave your comments below, and subscribe to the channel for all your Fighting Tiger football talk. See you next time.